Hi guys, welcome to the Man United Agenda. I'm joined by Dan and Pat, and we'll be discussing a possible summer 11 from Ten Hag and World Cup news and all things Manchester United. Hi guys, welcome to the Man United Agenda. My name is Omundi Juma. I'm joined by the wonderful Pat Lawless. Back again. This always seems to be me and you, Pat. We're like a tag team, aren't we?
The Bushwhackers.
Yeah, we could do that. Do that. Did you? We're going to talk about in a minute about the World Cup and what we just witnessed. Because this is why we start at 9 o'clock. We can get just to get the result in because everyone's been watching the games, ain't they? But Pat, any sort of first impression about what you just witnessed?
I left work today, lads, at about 4 o'clock. And one of my colleagues, he's married to a Spanish girl. And he's like, who are Spain playing tonight? He's like, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I said, I'm not even entertaining it. They're going to sail through. And I came home from work and I checked the phone and I seen that Japan scored. And then I was watching the Costa Rica-Germany game. And then Costa Rica scored. And then at one point, for a short period of time, Spain were out.
Sorry, I had a few technical difficulties there, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, fam.
Yeah, good. Dan, welcome back, man. Had you on last week. You made your debut. You're back again to join us again. The Man United fan, or from Manchester. You're authentic, unlike us guys. How you doing, Dan? What do you think about Germany going out? Massive result.
I mean, again, it's incredible. I mean, but I think that's what happens when you don't bring a centre forward to the World Cup. Really, they're playing. Is it Thomas Muller as their number 9? So really, when he's never really played that in his entire career, I think that's pretty naive what the German international manager has done. But again, it's a shame because Germany are known as a European threat who were one of the favourites to go far into the tournament. But it's their own themselves to blame. I feel like Japan and Costa Rica, what they've done today, have done wonders. So I feel like that's the beauty of this World Cup, because I've seen so many people say that why is this World Cup so difficult and so many teams are so many of the lower countries are beating the higher countries, and you could really say for me it's down to preparation. Is that normally that these international managers get around 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks to prepare the players and train them and get them playing how they want to. They've had 4 days. So majority of the European teams, like the English clubs, the German clubs, the Spanish clubs, they've had to stop midway through their current season, then for 4 days play completely different. And I think they're just absolutely knackered, especially the ones that play in Europe. So I feel like with teams like Japan, like Costa Rica, like Saudi Arabia, like last night, that these teams that don't really have many players playing in Europe, they're very fresh. They're used to playing once a week, and they're very fresh, and they just have the advantage in a way.
So you're saying it's lack of preparation, coming straight from the domestic league, going straight into a World Cup without that prep time. You think that's the major issue here? Because we've seen some, like you're saying, you mentioned Saudi Arabia winning games. You mentioned Japan today beating Spain, Costa Rica almost beating Germany as well. Pat, do you want to add to that? Any other reason? Is it the first time we played the tournament in the Middle East? First time it's been played in this sort of time of season? Or do you think that these nations are closing the gap? Do you think football is getting better worldwide, like these nations like Japan, who've had a good domestic league for a number of years now?
I don't know, lads. I think sometimes it's just down to the smaller teams or the underdogs, and they don't feel the pressure as much as the big teams, and they're out there to enjoy it, and they want it. They want it more than the bigger, let's call them the more renowned countries. So they're not feeling the nerves. Where the likes of the England, the likes of Germany, they're probably put on under a bit too much pressure by their own nation. Where the likes of these other clubs that have been countries that have been playing well are coming in here, and all they want to do is play for their country. All they want to do is win. And I know that feeling by watching the Irish all the time. We never had the best team, but we would never say die attitude. So that's what I see when I see the younger clubs. The smaller country, the less quantity of professional footballers playing for certain countries doing better than the ones with the larger quantity.
In my opinion, I think sometimes these nations are not so isolated anymore. Football's worldwide now, with social media, with the coaches going abroad and training other nations. I think eventually we're going to get to this time where most nations will understand how to play the game. They're not naive anymore. You're not seeing sort of, even though we saw England thrash Iran and Spain beat Costa Rica quite easily, it's very rare these days that this sort of happens, And I think that the gap is closing slightly with tactics, technique, that kind of thing. Even African nations who have got talented players, now they're starting to be a bit more organised. You're seeing them sort of bit more representing themselves a lot better than they have in the past. And
investing in their football more, in their international football.
Yeah, but a lot of the players, unfortunately for them, a lot of their players have to go to Europe and play. And you talk about preparation time, but they don't get together very often, only for sort of on international duty, and they expect it sort of to gel when they're playing in all different countries around Europe and around the world. So yeah, I think the gap is closing. I don't know what you guys think in the comments, but first of all, we're going to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor is GMS, that's Global Mapping Surveys. As you know, they assist architects, property developers and construction companies all over the country. They offer a wide range of services, such as setting out topographical surveys, 3D laser scanning, monitoring, and check out the link in the description, guys. That's GMS Global Mapping Surveys. Just want to say a few hellos. Welcome, Miguel. Nice to see you back with us. How you doing, man? Hope you enjoyed the football. Don't know what your thoughts are on about that. Vincent, how you doing, man? Big up. He says, hi, guys. Hi to you, Vincent. Miguel's saying spot on. I think it's referring to you, Pat, or about what you were saying there. Christine Howley, how you doing? Big up. Nice to see you again. Stuart Marshall is in the house, and he's saying, Auf Wiedersehen, Pet, as they say. Goodbye to the Germans. They're out. Big shock tonight, as we just witnessed. So now we're going to go back to the theme of tonight. It's going to be about Manchester United, obviously. This is the Man United agenda. But we do talk other things as well. But there's been so much going on with the World Cup. I've been distracted by the World Cup, but we've also been sort of looking at players as well. And in the media, certain names keep popping up about potential signings, whether it's in the summer or January. So what we're going to do today, hopefully with the participation of you guys in the comments, what we want to do is just go through a few players, have a little discussion about what we think will happen and how realistic some of these signings are. And I'm going to start this off just by stating something here about Paul Scholes. He came out today and he said that the Red Bull Leipzig striker, Christopher Nkunku, who came from Paris Saint-Germain and has been smashing goals in the Bundesliga, he said he's close to signing for the Blues, meaning Chelsea. Romano said he reports linked back to his medical in September, tweeting Chelsea are closing in on the deal. And the medical is almost done in September, but for some reason it didn't go through. But Paul Scholes is saying this is a lad that Chelsea have been after a long time, but he feels that Man United should be going in for him too. And it's not someone we discuss that often. So we're going to start, because we know the usual suspects, we're going to start with Christopher Nkunku. And I don't know if I'm butchering his surname, but Dan, you seem to know a lot about him. What do you think about this? Because Paul Scholes, obviously, he wants the best for the club. Do you think this guy would fit into the Man United system?
It really depends what type of system Ten Hag wants to involve Nkunku in, to be honest, because last season Nkunku was on absolute fire. Like, he blew up the Bundesliga. I believe he got Player of the Month in the Bundesliga for 4 months of the entire season. So he did absolutely incredibly. And I believe that what Chelsea have done is they've signed the release clause for next summer, which was 60 million, I believe, is which what they agree with, which is what they agreed with Paris Saint-Germain when they signed him. So I feel like Nkunku right now is already worth about 80 million. I mean, he's young, he's very good. He's more of a number 9, false 9 type of striker. I wouldn't say he's a main out and out target man striker, but he can also play as an inverted winger. He can also play as a creative winger. So he can score a goal. I mean, right now this season he's got, I believe it's 21 goal contributions in all competitions. And I know that he was supposed to be playing for France this World Cup, but obviously he got an injury before the game started. So it's unfortunate that he's not added to that tally, but still 20. I believe it's 17 goals and 4 assists he's had in all competitions.
Yeah. Pretty good.
So he's doing well for himself. So I mean, if that's in the Premier League and like everyone's talking about it, and I feel like that in Nkunku, if he's played in the right system, I mean, he's playing at RB Leipzig. It's not like he's playing at at Bayern Munich, where they have where they just constantly dominate the league. It's like RB Leipzig are normally a top 4 or top 3 type team in the Bundesliga, so they never really go all the way in the Bundesliga. So I feel like Nkunku it was more of a stopgap for RB Leipzig, which it was just where he wasn't working out at PSG. Obviously, the likes of Mbappe and everyone just being dominant at PSG, he was just just didn't succeed really. So obviously, RB Leipzig got a good deal out of him. And normally with German clubs as well, unless the players are mainly German or around the German area, they normally stay in that league. But more of like Jadon Sancho, for example, he got bought out. He learned his trade in the Bundesliga and then he got bought for a high price. And that's what the Bundesliga normally is. I mean, look at Erling Haaland from Dortmund and went to City. So I feel like the Bundesliga is known for a more developmental side when it comes to players. And I feel like Nkunku has done great in that aspect.
So, Pat, what do you think about transferring those skills from Bundesliga coming over to England, the Premier League, which really is the hottest league right now? Do you think Nkunku has got the ability? How do you see him as a player as well? Do you agree that he's like a false 9, just playing slightly deeper? He seems to gets a lot of goals from deep.
Yeah, well, his height would make you think he's more of a false 9, standing at 5'9". So he wouldn't be your typical centre forward. He's going to be standing up there like Robert Lewandowski. Now, the only thing that, like, if Erling Haaland can come, now I know Erling Haaland is a little bit of a special talent, but if he can come from the Bundesliga and light the Premier League on fire, what's to stop any other player who's getting this similarity in the amount of goals as he's getting? Like, the chap got 35 goals in all competitions there last year, and as Dan's after putting rightly there, I think he has 70 in so far this year. The only thing that comes to my mind here that I would be a little bit apprehensive about is the fact that, is he a confidence player, or does he just suit the exact style of football that the manager is currently playing at RB Leipzig? So when he was at PSG, his last 2 seasons, he got five goals and then 4 goals. And then in his first 2 seasons at Leipzig, he only got 5 and 7. But then all of a sudden, he jumped to 35 goals. And now this year is 17. Is he a one-hit wonder? I don't think so. If you don't get 35 goals and be a one-hit wonder, you don't see a lot of one-hit wonders anymore either. So maybe has he finally found a manager that appreciates his style? So he'd have to be signing for another club that really suits his style, similar to Martial at Manchester United, that didn't seem to fit the last couple of managers. But now that Erik ten Hag has come in, unfortunately with the injuries, it hasn't helped him. It's all down to the style of the football the manager's going to be playing for him to fit to get the kind of tally of goals that is expected of him after getting 35 goals last year.
Big up, guys. People in the comments, we've got Kalula in the house. She was supposed to be on the show today, but unfortunately she's got a few technical problems and she's getting some warm welcome. I want to say hi to Stumpy as well. How you doing, Stumpy? Nice to see you here. Miguel is on the Nkunku thing. He's saying he's a second striker, so, which in the media they call that's what they call a punta in Spanish media as well. So second striker is a punta. That's what we're learning a lot here about Spanish. If only Bath time was here, he'd know that as well. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Timo Werner because obviously he was smashing at Red Bull as well, and he came over to Chelsea and played in a different style. And they called him a flop over here. He's a good player. He was wanted by Liverpool as well, but he couldn't transfer what he was doing in Germany, which was really scoring goals and playing really well under a good manager at the time. He couldn't transform it at Chelsea at the highest level. So there is always a debate about transferring leagues and different styles of football and whether people can do it. So even though you're smashing it in a certain league, where we talk about Nkunku, doesn't necessarily mean he can transfer that over. So we have to be really careful when we look at the players. You can't just buy players based on, oh, he scored 20 goals plus, he must be good. You know, that sort of thing. Next guy we're going to move on to talk about. We've got some things here to read about, and it's got our very own Tammy Abraham. So Guys in the comments, I don't know what you think about Tammy, but he's not even in the England squad, is he? England striker enjoyed a wonderful maiden season with Roma, scored 27 goals while helping Jose Mourinho's men win the UEFA Conference League. That prompted interest from Manchester United and Arsenal in the summer, but Abraham was considered unsellable. That stance appears to be shifting after centre forward struggled to maintain that form this season. Abraham has only scored 4 goals so far, and KO Metota says Mourinho, sorry, excuse me, I'm butchering that. Mourinho and the Roma fans are losing patience now. Oh, wow. Which could present Aston Villa with an opportunity. The Villains are the side credited with a concrete interest in a 25-year-old, though the situation is complicated by Chelsea's buyback option. The Blues can bring Abraham back to the bridge in 2023 by paying 67 million. So they're shrewd, aren't they, in Italy? I mean, 27 goals one season, struggling a bit this season, and now he's getting boos and jeers from the fans. What do we think of Abraham here, and why wasn't he selected for the England World Cup squad? Let's talk about this, guys. What do you guys think in the comments? Got here Miguel saying, I don't want Tammy. I'm not so keen on Tammy either, but he did do well in Roma. I think when you look at the England squad, they picked Callum Wilson, didn't they, ahead of him? But he's got a lot of good qualities. He's a strong runner. He's tall. He's good with his feet, and he's just a typical target man, a man that's sort of at the pivot at the top there of a striking line. So whether that would be suitable for Man United, I'm not sure. I'm going to come to you, Dan. Tammy Abraham, what are your thoughts on him?
I mean, when he was at Chelsea, I feel like that Tammy Abraham comes under the same category as Mason Mount, just absolutely overrated. And I feel like that just because he came through the youth setup and they kept him, I feel like he was just blown out of proportion, really. And what team was it that Tammy Abraham went on loan to? Was it Villa or was it?
He started off at Bristol, Dan, and that's where he got his highest quality of goals.
Right, okay, because I thought he was a youth player at Chelsea, but anyway, I remember when he was at Chelsea, and I found him very overrated then. And I feel like that, yes, as much as he's a target man, and he's a type of striker that Ten Hag adores. I mean, look at Haller at Ajax last season. So Ten Hag, when he was the manager of Ajax, he wanted that tall target man type striker. But I feel like that, obviously, what you've just read out, that Tammy Abraham's only got 4 goals this season and 2 assists. I feel like with a form like that, that's not good enough to be selected for the World Cup. I saw a load of England fans say it's an absolute disgrace that Tammy Abraham isn't being taken. But really, do you really want Tammy Abraham to be selected when he's only scored 4 goals, when you've got an informed Callum Wilson, you've got Harry Kane, and I feel like that Ivan Toney should have gone over Callum Wilson. Yeah, but I would have had Callum Wilson over Tammy Abraham.
Okay. Kalula, how you doing, girl? She's saying he's talented, talk about Tammy, but I'm not sure he's consistent enough. I don't think he'd be a good pick for us. And Emma's in the house. How you doing, Emma? She's saying, I do like Tammy. I think he would fit in well with the squad personality-wise, but I don't think he would fit in the squad on the pitch. So it'd be a good guy to have around the change room for banter and all that, maybe, she said, but not playing for Manchester United. Are you the same thoughts of these two girls, Kalula and Emma, Pat?
Yeah, I think... I honestly think Tammy Abraham is just another Romelu Lukaku. He has an attitude that he thinks he's a 40-goal-a-year striker, and he might have that confidence, but he just hasn't got it in him. Like 2016, 17, and 18, he had 26 goals in the Championship, and then it was back into Villa, and then he got 7, and then it was 26 again, and then all of a sudden he's back into Chelsea, and he gets 12, and then 18, and now he went off to Roma. He gets a good quality of goals, and then all of a sudden he's back down again. So I don't think he's being tested enough to be coming into a Manchester United squad that's going to improve us any more than what we already have. So I wouldn't be overly keen on him. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but no, it's just not for me.
Just to add here what Kalula's saying, she said, yeah, he is talented, but not consistent enough. I think that's the key thing here about being consistent, because obviously he scored 27 goals in his opening season. Italian League now probably got used to him, understand what his strengths are, and maybe cancelled him out. When he was in the Premiership, he wasn't consistently played for Chelsea over the years. I know Chelsea has a strong squad regardless, but he wasn't getting game time, wasn't able to really sort of show his talent, and he's gone off somewhere else to perform. But it's about consistency, isn't it? I think I'm not sure about Tammy. I'm going to say thumbs down from me. What do you guys think in the comments? Big up to Rich Sports. Big up to Big G as well. You guys are joining us. What do you think about Tammy Abrahams, guys? And Rich Sports, check him out. Check out his channel. He's saying Germany are out. Well played, Spain. Big news right now worldwide. That's a shockwave. Germany are out, believe it or not. But England are through, and we'll be playing Senegal, who look like a dangerous team, could run us ragged, I believe. Anyway, Tammy Abrahams, thumbs up that way, or thumbs down for you?
Big wobbly Caesar. Boom.
Outnumbered. You're joining us, yeah. So it's a thumbs down from all of us here about Tammy Abrahams. Next one, someone who's performing really well at the moment, and 3 goals in 3 games in the group stages. It's our very own Coda Gakpo. We were interested in the summer, and according to Mundo Deportivo, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool are all interested in signing this prolific forward. He's called prolific these days. Wow! And they're all Gakpo is currently one of the hottest talking points of the World Cup, having scored in 3 consecutive matches and secured the Netherlands qualifications to the knockout stages. At club level, his numbers have been nothing short of remarkable: 13 goals and 17 assists in 24 appearances. Voetbal International have reported about the Dutch side will attach a £43 million price tag to their man following the tournament. The 23-year-old will not settle for being a bench player wherever he goes, which may rule Liverpool out the equation. The Merseyside team has dropped £85 million on Darwin Núñez, who we were interested in, and he still rotates with Roberto Firmino. Real Madrid will be seeking a long-term replacement for Benzema in the number 9 role, especially after missing out on Erling Haaland to Man City. Similarly, Bayern Munich are yet to secure a like-for-like for Robert Lewandowski alternative, and their form has wavered this season without him. At Old Trafford, he will be contesting with Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford, though the latter is comfortable playing as a winger. The Frenchman's fitness makes him unreliable figure to count on solely up front, and Ronaldo's exit has opened the door for a new forward to join the squad. So we're talking about Gakpo. Here we go. Miguel's saying Gakpo is brilliant. We won't afford him now, says Robbie Norman. He's talking about 43 million. I thought it'd be a lot more than that.
No, he's talking about Tammy. I think Robbie is.
I was talking about Tammy Abraham. And Rich Sports is saying 3 shots, 3 goals. Gakpo is on fire at the moment. So yeah, Gakpo, man. I'll just say this about Gakpo. Like, we've been after him for a long time. So on the show, we've been talking about this guy for ages. And initially I was like, no. Yeah, I've been watching him. He's okay. Obviously, we saw him in the Europa League in Arsenal's group. And he's all right. Yeah, he pops up here. He's not spectacular. Doesn't do anything spectacular, but he's very effective with what he does. And in this World Cup, we've seen him score a header the other day, get in front of the keeper. So he's got the height, obviously, and he's good in the air. Seen him sort of use his close control the other day, score a goal, get out his feet, pop, and slot it in the corner. And he is effective. He is effective. You have to give the guy credit. But most of all, we did a show the other day, and it turns out he's got good character, good personality, good characteristics, which is mentals, basically. When you got high mentals, it's not something we can talk about. We don't know the guy. But obviously, behind the scenes, word's getting out. This guy is also a good pro and someone who would be a good player for a long term, you know. So whether we need a striker or not, or whether we need a winger, stroke striker, I'm not sure, but Gakpo's certainly stepped up, and the interest in him is there. So, Pat, over to you. What do you think? Because, I mean, he's smashing it right now, isn't he?
Well, I'm after the show that we spoke about how confident. I just want to touch on that comment you put up there from Miguel, right? So he's saying I don't want him on the left wing. The left flank is for Garnacho. Now, I would tend to agree with you there, because after the way Garnacho's been performing before the World Cup, I think everybody wants to see him play there. But at the same time, the way we keep picking up injuries, I don't want Garnacho to have the weight of the world on his shoulders at such a young age. I want him to be brought into that squad nice and slowly. Just brought him in, get his goals, get his assists, whether that be coming off the bench, starting the odd game. But I don't want the weight of the world on that lad's shoulders. I'd rather see Gakpo come in and Garnacho still be used, but not starting all the time. Like, as much as I rate Garnacho, I want to see him slowly embedded into that squad.
But
Now,
isn't
with
he
Gakpo,
versatile? Gakpo's kind of versatile. He can play in various positions across the front line, huh?
yeah, and is it not the same for Garnacho as well? Garnacho can play out on the right as well as the left.
I haven't seen him there, but yeah, I imagine he could.
Yeah, well, on the Youth Cup final, it looked like many a times he was coming from that right and cutting into the middle. For what I've seen of Garnacho, and it was exciting to watch as well. So
I went to that
the
game.
two of them, yeah. And what did you think of it, Dan?
I've followed Garnacho for a long time. Because obviously going to Old Trafford for the main team is quite expensive. I feel I tried to go to as many youth games as possible, especially over the last few years. And I've watched Garnacho, I've watched Iqbal, I've watched these players that are now in the first team or are out on loan. And Garnacho is absolutely brilliant. And thank you for that comment, Miguel. I really appreciate it. That's as well to the whole panel. But with Garnacho, he's incredible. And I feel like as well, like you said, Pat, that he needs to be nurtured. He needs to be not overhyped, and he needs to gradually build into this team. And I feel like if we signed Cody Gakpo, just moving on to him, is that if we signed him, he has to be a primary position. He can't bounce from the left wing to the right to the centre forward, like one game after the other. He has to be a main striker, because then we can work around it. So either Rashford becomes a centre forward with Martial, and they pick and choose over the centre forward position, or Gakpo comes in and shares that role with Martial, and vice versa. So if Cody Gakpo then becomes on the left wing, but from what I've seen of the left wing as well, with having Jadon Sancho and Antony, signing Gakpo would be either the left wing position or the centre forward position. Now, for me, I feel like right now he is better off the left, but I feel like as well that with Gakpo, he's a developmental player where he is kind of like how Ronaldo was, where Ronaldo was more of a left winger, then eventually moved us to a centre forward. And like Thierry Henry was as well. And Gakpo is a very engine type winger. He's very powerful. He's 6'2". Like normally, when you think of a winger, you normally think of an agile body, about 5'10", who can get in behind you, has a lot of pace. Gakpo's reminds me of kind of like Haaland, but on the wing, where he's powerful. He doesn't get bullied off the ball, and he's just a naturally great finisher. So that's why he's being compared to being the centre forward role. And we've seen him do it for Netherlands in the World Cup as well. So I feel like that Cody Gakpo, like I said, is a developmental player. He's someone that Ten Hag really wants. And the benefit is as well, is that Cody Gakpo and Ten Hag have the same agent. So when you think about it, that's such an easy deal to do. And the Glazers have said that I think they've set a 50 million budget for Ten Hag in January. So no doubt Gakpo is that player that we'll be getting. And there's talks that we have that the Glazers will only spend the 50 million on Gakpo if United sell a player, whether that's the reports are it's going to be Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
So, or it might be Van der Beek, but I don't think Van der Beek will go in January. I think if he was to go, it would be in the summer. But with Wan-Bissaka leaving, where does that leave the right back position? Obviously, that we're going to speak about another right back in a moment. But would you guys sell Wan-Bissaka to get Cody Gakpo? That's the question for the comments and the panel. Like, would you sell Wan-Bissaka to get Cody Gakpo?
Good question. Let's just go through the comments since you mentioned them. So Miguel saying Gakpo, I don't want him on the left wing. The left flank is for Garnacho. That's what started this conversation. We're talking about Gakpo here. Big G says if he comes in, then unfortunately I think Sancho will be out, which is really another big talking point. They mentioned that yesterday, didn't they, on the show? MOK said, I do think if we get Gakpo, assuming all the reports are correct, but if Madrid come in, then we are done for, surely. But as it said in the reports, Madrid are looking for a long-term replacement, but he wants first-team football. I can't imagine him getting first-team football initially because Benzema's still there. Emma Kay is saying here, there also seems to be many young players getting injured lately, especially long recovery time injuries, and I don't want to risk that with Garnacho. So as Pat was saying, you don't want to sort of burn him out. Kalula saying, I feel Gakpo would be good and Ten Hag would utilise him. Obviously, both coming from Dutch football. Emma Kay saying, surely Sancho has to be for the right side with Anthony, or else we only have one right-sided player. So obviously left-footed Anthony and right-footed Sancho to play on the right wing. Hi, Joe. How you doing? He's saying good evening, lads. We've got Miguel again saying, can we recall Ethan Lurd from QPR if we sell Wan-Bissaka? There's your response. I was going to say that. As we know, I'm from West London, and I know a lot of QPR fans, and they're raving about him right now, Ethan Lurd. He's doing really well. I've got some stats about him. Else here, and Big G saying if we're not going out to get a number 9, then the front three should be able to interchange, so get interchangeable players. And Emma's saying, Miguel,
that's one good thing Sancho's great at is interchange. So as much as he is in bad form at the moment, I'd imagine Erik ten Hag wants to get this man thinking right, training right, working hard, getting him back into the English squad for his own pride as well. But for interchanging football, Sancho, Anthony, Marcus, Martial, Gakpo, imagine having the three of them. Like Man City have an array of midfielders, probably more than us. So getting Gakpo to play on the left doesn't concern me at all. Like when they can drop Phil Foden for 3 games in a row and then bring Gundogan back in on the 4th, and he's back in for another 3 days.
Good point. I think it's a squad game these days, and I think although we're a bit top heavy at the moment, you do need the numbers there. There's 5 players on the bench who can come on and change a game, and we've seen that in the World Cup as well. Just want to add 2 points. Hasselbank said about Gakpo that he says he should go to mid-table side. He's not quite ready to transfer his skills over to the top side in the Premiership. And Yap Stam, we all know Yap Stam, don't we? He comes on our show sometimes from Melbourne. Sorry, I don't mean that, Mark. But anyway, Yap Stam says, you can see, this quote from Yap Stam, he's saying, you can see when Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't playing, younger players' confidence was high, and they enjoyed playing football as a unit and were willing to sacrifice themselves. So he's basically saying, we don't need to sign anyone. We can what we've got at the moment with Elanga, Garnacho coming through, we don't need a striker. We could probably focus on a right back, which we're going to talk about now. Dan, very quick summary because we're going to wrap up soon. You're talking about Frimpong, aren't you? And Ethan Lurd, obviously at QPR on loan. So you posed a question, and what do you guys think in the comments about this as well? Right back situation. Obviously, Dalot's been run ragged. He's playing every game for Portugal as well at the moment. Frimpong, tell us a little bit about him and how viable is it for us to sign him?
Well, Frimpong has been a player over the last 12 months who has been, he's blown up really. He's become very popular. He's he's rapid. He can get into a challenge. He literally reminds me of the right-sided Malacia, where he's fearless. He'll get stuck into a challenge. He's the modern day attacking fullback, where he's up and down that wing all game, whether he's defending or going forward, and he's got a good cross on him as well. I do notice that he prefers to be more inverted than overlap. I have noticed that, but he does play the overlap as well with the Bayern Leverkusen wingers. So I think it's Diaby on the right wing who he shares that role with. Yeah, the left-footed French dude. So, but yeah, Jeremy Frimpong is a great talent. I think he's only 22, maybe 23.
So what about price tag? What are you referring to about price tag? Do you know anything?
I would say you're looking around the same price tag for Cody Gakpo. I'd say between 35 to 45 million.
Okay.
It's saying 25 currently at the moment on transfer.
Oh, right.
Market.
Okay,
but that's not always 100% accurate, lads. It's only a guideline, you know.
It's which I don't know which is your source part, but it says that that it says that the source that I've looked at is that he's valued between 35 to 45 million. I think that's just because of his experience because obviously he's still young, so obviously being young and being such prolific, that's going to obviously add to your price tag. So
is that euros, Dan, or a pound?
Pardon?
Is that euros or a pound?
Euros.
Yeah, I said I said 25 million, so it's probably about 30
okay. Yeah, so yeah, I was looking at it between 35 to 45 million euros. So, because obviously in being in the German in Bundesliga,
do you think we're talking about Frimpong here? 25, 30 million euros. That's not bad price. We obviously need a right back because of Dalot. But Kalula's added here that's what we want, someone who can be up and down the pitch with a multiple skill set as well. I haven't scouted him much. I don't know much about him, but Miguel saying I love Frimpong as well. Is right back more important for us guys at the moment, considering what Stam said, that we don't necessarily need forwards?
I would say yes, because if you're not solid at the back, put it this way, if we lose that low, we're not solid at the back. That's the way I look at it. XR2 and Zabi is still not fully fit to come back and play right back. And we're not all the most confident in the world with Victor playing there. He's a bit, he's just not assured. And we don't get the same attacking prowess that we would get if we had the low there. Now, there's two right backs we're talking about here. Frimpong, who's 21, and his Dutch counterpart, Dumfries, who's 26. Yeah. Both going the transfer market for similar prices. I think when I looked at transfer market on the internet, it said Frimpong's 25, Dumfries was 28. Now Dumfries is keeping Frimpong out of the national squad only because he probably has 5 years on him, a bit more experience. Are we looking for a more experienced right back in Dumfries, or are we looking for a right back who's going to grow into that position? After hearing what Dan says, I'm kind of leaning towards the Frimpong side, because he's the young fella you want to bring in here who's going to grow watching Dalot learn the Eric Ten Hag style and eventually be in there working with him.
Yeah, it's like I said as well, Pat. He reminds me of the right side of Malacia, because obviously we've got Luke Shaw, who is obviously, I think Luke Shaw is 27, is that how old Luke Shaw is now?
Yes.
So obviously Malacia, you can tell that he's a one for the future, and he's doing well, and he kept Luke Shaw out of the team for a certain amount of time. So if the lot gets injured, we're like right now our only option is really Lindelof, because Eric Ten Hag has shown that he will not play Aaron Wan-Bissaka regardless.
Oh, sorry, Malacia playing right back. Is that not what we did the last time you played Malacia?
I don't like that. I
don't like it either, but that goes to show. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If you look at the last couple of comments there, I think it was Kalula said right back is more important this transfer window than anywhere else. And I just said Malacia playing right back. So is that not the writings on the wall there?
Yeah, I feel like that it's a difficult one, because personally I feel like the right back position is more important, but I feel like that with Cody Gakpo and the interest that is shown in him from so many gigantuan clubs in all of Europe, he's a player we can't miss out on, because United have missed out on so many important players over the years who were around the 40 to 50 million mark, and then they go to a better and bigger club and they become an 80 to 100 million pound player. And I feel like that's where United have missed out over the years, where we've struggled to get them really quality good players early. And I feel like for me that Gakpo, even though our forward options lack quality at the moment, I feel like that Cody Gakpo is just a player you can't miss out on. And that's just my opinion.
All right, just to add here for the comments, Emma saying, but honestly, I don't want to recall Ethan Laird from QPR, as his loan last year was also disturbed. Just let him have a full season in one place.
Excellent comment.
This next one from Pablo saying Dalot is not enough, so we do need more there. And as you said here, Kalula saying, I feel right back is more important for the January transfer window. Miguel agrees with her. And Emma says, let's do both. But
Emma, I was just thinking that, right? Emma, you're spot on, right? Imagine we sold Wan-Bissaka, we got a few bob for him, and we got Gakpo and Frimpong. Unless I don't think MK was on about selling Dumfries and Frimpong. I think she's on about Gakpo and Frimpong. That'd be nice business, wouldn't it? Getting two players.
Guys, here we're at like almost Christmas stage. We're a few points off top four, probably playing better than we expected. We've had a few bad defeats, but it's a learning process. What's realistic? I mean, because we said, I'm sure most of us said before the season, oh, come on, let's take a few windows before we start thinking about top four. But I think we're actually in a position now where we should start thinking about top four, and maybe should invest in this January window to sort of make us a bit stronger to really secure that place, because it's there for the taking. Big G saying he likes to look at Dalot's Portuguese teammate Antonio Silva is also a right back. I think he plays for Porto, does he? Or one of them clubs there. So yeah. Let's talk about how important it is, because where we're at now, do you believe that we should really push and go for it? Remember Tottenham last year invested and bought in two players from Juve who are also crumbling right now. We can pick them off. but 2 players from Juve, which in the end secured their top 4 placing. Do you think we should, based on if you do a key performance indicator, to say let's assess it by Christmas and look at it, and we're in a position now, pole position, to really strike for that top 4. So how important is it? And when we've also got João Felix, it's going to be our last talking point. We're going to shut down soon. But João Felix from Atletico Madrid, they've been kicked out of the Champions League. He's fallen out with his manager. He hasn't really been playing. He's spent like nearly 100 million. He's going for 86 million. He's a class player. Obviously, we're watching him for Portugal right now, and he scored against us in the Champions League last year with a lovely header, didn't he? And he was really difficult, really lovely technique, lovely control. So João Felix is another one, potentially maybe for the summer with that sort of money. But what are your thoughts, guys? Where we're at, assessment up to Christmas now, and based on that assessment, should we really invest and probably pump a bit more money in just to secure top 4, which is overachievement maybe from what we've seen at the start of the season? Pat?
If we win our next game back in the Premier League, right, we're top 4. Okay, now we taking in mind we'll have to win the game by at least a game, a goal or 2, and then we'll be ahead of Tottenham by goal difference. All right. Now, that's a good start coming back after the World Cup. But if we don't sign players for the areas in which we are currently weakened at, which is right back and centre forward, we're not going to improve because we already had a weaker squad or an imbalanced squad in comparison to the amount of players Spurs signed. Arsenal signed some nice players and they're playing well. Not a lot of injuries. Our problem is we have a couple of injuries up top and we were weak at the right back. If we strengthen, give Erten Wahag what he wants, and he's obviously got our full backing now at the moment because he's came out on top after the whole Cristiano Ronaldo saga. I think them 2 players really should be a must if they cared about position. The 2 players are a must. If they're just finishing out the season and they don't want to spend money to Glazers, then it's going to be a case of they're just happy to see where we finish. But if they want to see us progress, you might see us get 2 players in January. And Gakpo and Frimpong sound like the kind of players we want.
And we're wrapping up very soon. So Gakpo, Frimpong, that's a striker and a right back, 2 positions that we all agree could be key. Dan, do you think we're in pole position right now, fighting for top 4, and we do need sort of a bit of investment just to secure that?
No. As much as I would love to have top 4, I feel like it is impossible for United. I feel like that the way that, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the reports of Arsenal's owners. Apparently, they've found the funds and they're bringing their summer budget into January. And then apparently they're giving Arteta about 80 to 100 million to get them because they never expected to be in the title race. So I think they'll want to get them rotational players in. City are already guaranteed top 4, so there's 2 positions gone already. Newcastle hardly spend in the summer, so no doubt they're going to spend big in January like we did last season. And really, with Chelsea's new owners and Antonio Conte just somehow just scraping win after win after win, I feel like it is impossible for United to get top 4. And I feel like as well as that, what we also forget is that it's also Ten Hag's first season. And the way I see it is that Ten Hag has been given multiple jigsaws that have all mixed up together. And he's literally, the Glazers have said to him, go and build one massive picture that makes sense. And he's literally got a bit of Mourinho, a bit of Van Gaal, a bit of David Moyes, still a bit of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Alex Ferguson. So Ten Hag is working a miracle here. And I feel like that it is impossible for now for Manchester United to get top 4. And I feel like if we get the signings or not, I just think it's too hard for him. And especially with the Glazers, apparently the club's supposed to be sold by springtime. I feel like the Glazers are going to get us Cody Gakpo as the farewell present, and then they're going to go. I don't think they'll invest enough because they don't really care now. They've already said they're selling the club. They're already getting their billions of pounds from the club. So sure. I feel like that it's their final farewell present, you can really say, but I don't think they'll invest 8 to 90 million for Gakpo and Frimpong.
And even João Felix as well. That's a summer signing, it appears. Just going to go through a few comments before we shut down. Box is saying he's not sure either, like about top 4. It's really competitive, isn't it, this year? Box is saying we've got a 0 goal difference, which shows a lot about our consistency. Emma, but we're in 5th place still. Emma saying Jones, Tunzabi, and more are still here. Could we get something from them? Sort of increase our budget maybe for signing players? And obviously, the Glazers are why would they sanction a deal as they're leaving? Says Box. And finally, I want to say big up to Daniel Ramirez. He's just jumped in. He's going to go rewatch the show. So hope you enjoy that. Guys, here, Box is saying if we can keep clean sheets and we win 1-0 at the end of the season, maybe. And Miguel saying the panel is absolutely brilliant. Big thumbs up and also for the chat, it gets a clap as well. So yeah, let's end on that.
Miguel.
Positive right there. Big up, guys. We like to incorporate you guys in the chat. We appreciate all your input and all your contributions as well. And obviously, big up to Pat Lawless as well for coming on, and to Dan. More games coming up with the World Cup. We will be watching them, and we will be sort of screening at 9 p.m. based on that as well. So thank you for your lovely positive comments, Miguel. We really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you watch the rest of the show, Daniel, Ramirez as well, Box, Emma, Kalula, and everyone else. If I'm missing someone in the chat, Hydro. Hope you all guys really enjoyed the show. Make sure you press the like button, and we're signing out.
Big G, Stumpy. Don't forget Big G and Stumpy.
Yes, yeah, Big G and Stumpy as well.
Rich Sports as well.
Stuart
and Robbie
Marshall.
Norman.
Stuart Marshall as well. Big up. Dan, where can we find you quickly?
On Twitter, that's my Twitter, Dan_CorfMU, and I have my own YouTube channel called Red Devils TV, where I just post daily Manchester United content and a few YouTube shorts every now and again.
So I repeat, Red Devils TV. Go and check out Dan. Make sure you subscribe. If you subscribe to Man United Agenda, you got to subscribe to Dan as well, because Dan's a part of our family as well. So big up, guys. Make sure you tune into World Cup and tune in to us tomorrow again at 9 o'clock. And obviously, we're doing the takeaway at 10 p.m. as well with TalkMU and Mr. B. So big up, guys. God bless, and we're out.